Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into another week of Morning JOX here on a chilly Monday morning. So welcome to the month of February, where the month has changed, but the temperature has not. The good news is it'll warm up a little bit later in the week, and I know there's a couple days coming up here in the next 7 or 8 days or so where we might even get into the 60s. So it'll get a little bit better, but still going to be chilly in the morning. And that is what it is this morning. So we hope you are bundled up, going on your way to work, school, whatever you have on the docket for today. We appreciate you making us a part of your morning each and every day right here on JOX. So hopefully you had a fantastic weekend just like we did. Unlike some of the basketball in the state, maybe not the most fantastic weekend, but we did have a lot going on, and it's exciting because this is, unfortunately, we have the Stallions to look forward to, but in terms of professional and collegiate football, this is the final game of the 2025 season, even though they were in 2026. But this will be the final game coming up on Sunday with the Super Bowl, as the Seahawks and Patriots will do battle, and, of course, we'll have all week to get you ready for that game, give you our thoughts on what's going to happen, and get your reaction to it as well. But going to be a fun week here as we get you ready for the Super Bowl and everything that's going on there. But outside of that, of course, the big thing going on in this neck of the woods is SEC basketball, Damian. And we had a lot of that going on over the weekend. We had some on Saturday. We had some on Sunday.
Yeah, there were some pretty good games in the SEC.
There were some really good games. Unfortunately, as far as Alabama and Auburn are concerned, they really weren't great games.
No, not so much.
For either one of them in particular. So we'll kind of go through the whole weekend for you. We can start off yesterday. We'll start off because that was the, I guess, the more recent of the two games. So you had Auburn. They were doing battle on Saturday. Alabama, them in Florida, they got to play yesterday in, I guess, Sunday primetime, which would be 12 o'clock lunchtime right after church. And Alabama was going down to Gainesville. We saw last weekend Auburn do this. They went down to Gainesville. I don't think many of us were giving them, much of a chance to win, and they did. They pulled off an incredible win there in Gainesville over Florida and beat a team that we were, starting to talk about. Man, all right, this is starting to look like the Florida team we were expecting to see all along, and then Auburn just went down there and handled their business and kind of made us, I think, scratch our heads a little bit about Florida, but also it's like, wow, this was the win that Auburn needed and Stephen Pearl needed, right, to kind of that marquee win his first year in conference play. So Alabama, they're going down to Gainesville. Admittedly, I think a similar sentiment of, we saw Auburn go and do it, so maybe Alabama can, but, Florida's a great team playing at home, probably a little ticked off still from losing to Auburn at home last weekend. And, it looked like it. It looked like it yesterday because Florida dominated Alabama, absolutely slaughtered them, 100-77. It was 46-36 Florida at halftime. And, for the first 15 minutes of this game, it was a lot of fun to watch. It really was. It was back and forth. Both teams were being physical. Both teams were, it was great basketball. And then you hit that point where Florida just hit a different level and Alabama, couldn't find a way to keep up. So there are a lot of things that went wrong for Alabama yesterday. You're not going to be able to use the injury card for that one yesterday because you did have some guys that are still banged up, but Amari Allen was back, Aiden Holloway was back, like the guys that you'd really been missing. They were both back in action for you, and you look and you go, okay, well, Alabama goes on the road and they lose by 23. Like they probably shot 20% from 3-point range, and no, they shot 41% from 3-point range. Granted, some of those were later in the game when it didn't really matter.
It was over.
And it did feel like, when you're watching the game earlier on and the times where they really needed to make some of those shots, they weren't there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you look back and you go, oh, man, shot 41% from 3 on the road. That's pretty good. We probably had a pretty good day. But unfortunately, you shoot 69% from the free throw line. You only shoot 13 free throws compared to 26 for Florida. So that's not going to help you out there. But you get out-rebounded as well. You get out-rebounded 44-33. But the big one, this is the big one. Florida had 2 turnovers. That's really good. 2 turnovers.
That's efficient basketball.
Alabama had 18 turnovers. It's a lot.
And it felt like they all came like in a period of time during the game where it was it felt like it was a Florida 8-0 run on a span of turnovers by Alabama, where it was they couldn't even get in a set because as soon as it was hitting the paint, oh, Florida's back the other way. Like, it was a period of that game where it was every time Alabama touched the ball, it was a turnover.
Yeah, it was. It really wasn't pretty, especially in the second half. But you got to give credit to Florida, not only what they were able to do there, but what they did in the front court. I mean, with Alex Condon and Thomas Hawk, I mean, they combined for 47 points. They shoot, 20 of 31 from the floor. Just absolutely incredible. 12 rebounds, 7 assists between the two of them. The points in the paint stat for this game was so embarrassingly lopsided, especially when you consider that this is why you went and brought a guy like Charles Bediako back, was because he was supposed to be able to help you in these kinds of situations. But unfortunately, Florida outscored Alabama in the paint 72-26. Florida almost scored as many points as Alabama's entire team at the basket.
In the paint.
I mean, they scored 3 times as many points as Alabama did almost in the paint. I mean, you're not going to win basketball games that way. You're just not. And Charles Bediako, I mean, he wasn't nearly as much of a factor as he had been. Now, early on in the first few minutes, he was grabbing rebounds left and right, and you're like, oh, man, all right. Like, is he going to go for, he might have 10 points and 20 rebounds this game.
Yeah, this is what the league taught me.
Yeah, unfortunately, he finished with 6 points and 7 rebounds, so that's, a little bit of a different stat line than what it looked like it was trending towards there early in the game. But, yeah, he wasn't much of a factor. You got to shout out Chinny Lou for Florida. That dude was an absolute menace. He only had, 14 points, but he had 17 rebounds, and that was a guy that it felt like every time they needed a big stop, they were like, you're just going to go follow the dude with the ball, and you're going to make his life hell. And that's exactly what he was able to do. So, absolutely incredible game by Florida. Well-earned win there over the Crimson Tide. For Alabama, their leading scorer, Aiden Holloway, he had 19 points. LeBaron Feinlein only had 14. Not a great night for him. He had 5 turnovers as well. So, not a great one there. Not one you want to forget or remember, if you're Alabama. But things move on in the SEC, and now you got to take on Texas A&M. So Alabama, they're now 14-7 in the overall 4-4 in SEC play. And with that loss, I would expect them to fall out of the top 25 when that poll comes out today. But a lot of work to do. Texas A&M this week, and then obviously Auburn coming up on Saturday for the IBOB. Let's hear from Nate Oates quickly. Just a quick comment from him. This is his thoughts on the loss. Nate Oates speaking to the media after Alabama fell 100-77 yesterday in Gainesville.
It's hard to win a game when you're minus 16 on the turnovers, minus 6 on the old boards. Talk about trying to win a possession game. They destroyed us in the possession game. I mean, they scored 100 points, only made 3 threes. You don't have to take many threes when you're getting dunks and layups off turnovers. So 25-0 on points off turnovers. Not sure I've ever been associated with a game like that. You got to look in the mirror at what I did as a coach, and we just was not our night. And Florida's kind of had our number here lately. They've done a really good job. Disappointing game for us, but we got to bounce back and be ready to go on Wednesday.
So there you go. There is Nate Oates after the loss to the Florida Gators. You also had Auburn. They were in action over the weekend. They were taking on Tennessee. So it's kind of funny because it's Auburn played Florida last weekend. Alabama played Tennessee last weekend. Now they flip-flopped. And unfortunately for Auburn, they did not have a great weekend as well. So they were at least significantly more competitive in their matchup. But Tennessee gets the win 77-69 there on Saturday in Knoxville. Auburn, you go and look, we were just talking about for Alabama, you think, man, they probably didn't shoot the ball well from 3. Well, Auburn did not. They were 7 of 31, which is good for 23% from behind the arc. Not that Tennessee was much better, but Tennessee only took 13 threes, and they shot 31%. So they took a lot more, 2-point shots and were able to convert there when it mattered most. It also helps when you go 25 of 31 from the free throw line, which Tennessee did compared to 14 of 20 for the Auburn Tigers there. Tennessee also out-rebounded Auburn 46-30. They were the more physical team. at the end of the day. And you saw what Nate Ament was able to do. He goes for 22 points. Not a great night shooting for him, but he goes 12 of 15 from the free throw line, threw in 8 assists, only a couple turnovers there. So a nice win for Tennessee at home over the Auburn Tigers. But I mean, you just look at, the guys that you expect for Auburn to kind of lead the charge. Keyshawn Hall did a good job, 21 points, 3 of 9 from 3-point range, 7 of 17 overall, 4 boards, 2 assists. So you'll certainly take that. But you go and look at, a guy like Kevin Overton. He goes for 7 points, but he shoots 2 of 10, 1 for 7 from 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pettiford, he gives you 11 points, 2 of 11 from deep, 4 of 14 overall, shooting on the night. Did have 7 assists, but man, I will say, and talking to some of my friends that are Auburn fans and just following what people are saying online and stuff, watching the game, it's again, I think it's just more shocking that we're still at this point in the season. You look at Auburn, and at times, Todd Pettiford, he's just a liability at times, like straight up. It is what it is. And I know that he's the kind of guy that if he does get hot, like he can absolutely take over a game, right? And he can be your best player when he is on. But I mean, I would say out of the 22 games Auburn's played this year, there's maybe been like 2 that you looked at and you went, oh, that's the Todd Pettiford I remember from last year. That might be generous. And it might have only been 1 game. And it feels like as long as that continues, there's just going to be a little bit of a ceiling on what this Auburn team can accomplish, right? So they didn't have a great shooting night. I mean, you're going up against a solid team on the road. Like, you're going to lose those games sometimes. But it just feels like in these types of games, right, if you had Todd Pettiford, the version of him you had last year, you're probably winning a number of these games that you haven't. And it's just whether he's turning the ball over, just, not making shots, making bad shot selection, it's just – He just looks like a shell of the player that we saw last year, and it really feels like that's, it feels like at this point it's not going to go anywhere, right? Because early on it was okay, yeah. In the preseason games, like he wasn't great. He struggled early on in the season, but he'll settle in. He'll figure it out. I mean, you're 3/4 of the way through the season now. Like you kind of are who you are. So I don't know what Auburn's going to do about that. I mean, you got to keep putting him out there because he is so talented in what he can do. He's got to be more consistent, man. And if he's not, then I mean, there's only so much this Auburn team can do, I think.
Yeah, this Auburn team is limited. They can't outside of Keyshawn Hall, there's nobody that really scares you offensively. Where it's, man, we got to watch out for somebody else. And I think the fact that they're not a threat shooting the 3, that teams will live and die with just, hey, if they're going to. It's almost like you have to play the law of averages or like analytics at some point of, if we're going to give them the 3, we're banking on they're going to make just a few of them. They'll jack them up because they're open and they're somewhat good shots. It's just they're not falling. And I think going back to that A&M game and how it ended for them, Auburn really just can't consistently find their footing. And they have to make games a rock fight. They have to make it physical. And Tennessee is just a better team in that style. It's, okay, we're going to play hard on defense, and if we get a chance to get, an easy bucket here, easy bucket there, if you do contest, they go in. Sometimes it just happens like that. But I think Auburn has to win in a certain way. And it's not because they're the Golden State Warriors where they're jacking up a bunch of threes and they're hitting them. It's they're taking these threes because they can't get inside the paint, which they do the most damage in. And teams can live and die with the results of, hey, if we're going to let Auburn shoot 31 threes, by God, they're going to have to prove to us they can make 10. And they don't. Like it's a consistent pattern where they're not a 3-point shooting team. They have to play like that, and it's just not their wheelhouse. And again, outside of Keyshawn Hall, nobody's really a consistent scoring threat on a game-in, game-out basis. And I think you hit the nail on the head with Todd Pettiford. It's almost you're wanting and hoping that it's going to click, and if it hasn't by now, it's tough to feel confident that this team could really make a run deep in the playoffs. I mean, in the tournament, because of the fact that they don't know where else they're going to get points from on a game in, game out basis.
Yeah, and it's it's just kind of one of those things where it's the combination of the frustration that he's obviously going through. Right, he doesn't want to play to this level, but it's also he's one of those guys where the volume of shots that he's going to take can really hurt you when he's not hitting those shots because
Mhm.
he's a guy that's going to take double-digit shot attempts because he's one of your best players. Like,
Right.
I don't think you can go to Tahad and say, "Hey, man, let's just focus on distribution," right? Like maybe take 4 shots. Like that's not going to happen, and that's not the way that he plays, right? Because again, you want to try to get him into a rhythm, but when you're that kind of a playmaker and you have that kind of volume and it's not going in, it's problematic to say the least. So Alabama and Auburn, rough weekend for both of them. Both of them certainly have their problems right now. And the good news is that in 5 days they will get to face off against each other. And for the first time this season, and going to be a lot of fun there. So Auburn, they're off. No midweek game for them this week. Alabama and Texas A&M will be coming up here in a couple of days. And then you'll have Alabama and Auburn in Neville Arena coming up on Saturday. Can't wait for that one. Going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun as we roll along here in this SEC basketball season. So that's your recap for Alabama and Auburn, but we did have some other key matchups with big implications around the SEC. Kind of let you know what's going on there. And the transfer portal is still open as Alabama. Yes, they finally got a running back out of the transfer portal. We'll tell you what we know about him, what you can expect. All of that next on a chilly Monday edition of Morning JOX. 621, welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Monday morning. Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitchell here with you until 7 o'clock when we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. So just spent some time recapping Alabama and Auburn over the weekend. Rough weekend for both programs as they both fall on the road in SEC play. And we are now 5 days away from the first IBOB of the season coming up Saturday in Neville Arena down there on the plains of Auburn. So going to be a fun week here, getting you ready for that, getting you ready for the Super Bowl as well. So going to be a lot for us to get into here over the next few days. But before we get back to some of the things going on around basketball in the Southeastern Conference, we did want to tell you that, yes, the rumors are true. Alabama did finally get a running back out of the transfer portal. No, Hollywood Smothers did not decommit from Texas and then go back to Alabama it's not one of those situations.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately. But it is somebody that you may be familiar with because it's a local kid from the from Parker High School, from what I understand. But anyways, Alabama picks up transfer running back Khalifa Keith. He played at App State this past year, started his career at Tennessee. Again, as I told you, came out of Birmingham from Parker High School 3 years ago. But he's 6'1", 235 pounds. So, again, a little bit of a bigger back there. And I have to imagine that this is more of a depth kind of a piece here, right? Because that kind of reminds you a little more of what you maybe have in like a Daniel Hill in terms of the style of running back that you might have. So, Alabama trying to get a little more physical, get another body in that room. But
Yeah,
it's a little different than the Hollywood Smothers situation. I don't think this guy's going to roll in there and just be RB1. So I think.
But I will say this. Just from what Alabama's been doing, different new O-line coach, really fine-tuning that offensive line, getting a lot of depth in that running back room. I think Kalen DeBoer may have heard us. I think he may have heard and has seen what happened in the month of November when you weren't able to run the football, that now you got a bevy of backs back there. There's only one football.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I'm a receiver at Alabama, I'm kind of thinking, what's our identity going to be this fall, man? What are we trending towards? But I do think that it needs to improve. It is definitely a situation where no matter it's the offensive line, the running back room, the style in which you want to be able to run the football. And again, 6'1", 235, that's not a Jahmyr Gibbs back there. I think it's more of hey, when we need to ice this game down, we've got some heavy hitters back here that can, get 3 yards in a cloud of dust, where it's not as much scat back. And I'm interested to see what this rotation is going to look like in the backfield, because it's going to be a lot of younger guys, some that have played a good bit, but now you're marrying that up with a new offensive line, different guys in different places, new offensive line coach. But I do think that he is taking the all-hands-on-deck approach of, we just need bodies. We need depth because anything could possibly happen, but there seems to be a heightened focus on a certain area of the offense.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's not an exaggeration to say that that'll be probably the most scrutinized position this fall, or the position that people are most, most interested to see how it's progressed. I guess maybe that's a better way to put it there, but. Nonetheless, Alabama does add to their numbers, so they get transfer running back Khalifa Keith out of App State. For his career, he's had 3 seasons of college ball, 34 carries, 129 yards, 1 touchdown. That's good for a 3.8 yards per carry average. So, again, kind of going back to what we were saying, right? This is a guy that, hey, we need 2 tough yards, buddy. It's your time to shine.
It's your time to shine, man.
And hey, look, I mean, to be fair, right, there were plenty of times this year for Alabama where you're like, man, can we not run the ball for 2 yards here? And they literally couldn't. So, maybe that's something that comes into play this fall, but didn't want to share that with you because I know a lot of people obviously eagerly waiting for some sort of, news in that regard for Alabama. Just unfortunately took a few more weeks than you were probably hoping it would, and maybe not the name you were hoping it would, but nonetheless, a new running back there in Tuscaloosa. But getting back to college hoops here momentarily, did want to give a shout out to our UAB Blazers, though, as they were on the hardwood on Saturday. They took on North Texas, and they got a big win, 72 to 68. So Chance Restry, he leads the way for the Blazers with 18 points. and they get a nice win on the road there. So now UAB 14-8 overall on the season and 5-4 in American Conference play so far this year. And it's also a great time to remind you that the next time they will be on the court will be this Thursday at Bartow Arena, and it is a big one. So we want to encourage you right now to go and get your tickets for this Thursday. You're going to have UAB hosting the Memphis Tigers. That's going to be an 8 o'clock tip there from Bartow Arena. You can go to uabsports.com today and get your tickets. It's going to be a gold out, the first 5,000 fans. They're going to have gold rally towels for you, so make sure you wear your gold, get out, support the Blazers for the biggest basketball game of the year here in the city of Birmingham, as Memphis will be heading here to take on the UAB Blazers at Bartow this Thursday. Go get your tickets at uabsports.com. But looking around the rest of the SEC here very quickly, you did have Arkansas. They fell to Kentucky at home on Saturday, so Mark Pope gets a much-needed win there, not only for his program, but obviously means a little bit more when it's against Coach Cal. So Kentucky, they get the better end of that one, 85-77. Otega Owe, 24 points, 8 boards there for Kentucky. So a big game for him. Unfortunately, Damian, for your Ole Miss Rebels, they fall to Vanderbilt in a close one, 71-68. So Vanderbilt, they're 19-3 now on the season. Ole Miss 11-10. 3-6, or excuse me, 3-5 in SEC play there for Ole Miss. So
I don't know why you keep saying my Ole Miss Rebels in basketball season. You know,
because most people that root for they root for like a college.
I'm not like most people
in general.
I'm different, built different. Big Alabama guy. You know, I was upset. I was upset Sunday. I was
I'm
ticked
sure.
off. Absolutely ticked off. But who cares about Ole Miss?
Really
basketball?
put a damper on your weekend, huh?
They did. They did.
I hate that for you, man. Really hate that you struggled through that. Let's see. LSU, they took down South Carolina on the road in overtime, 92-87. So that is LSU's second SEC win.
There we go.
And so they are both tied now at 2-7. But the good news for them is that Oklahoma lost to Texas 79-69. So Oklahoma is now 11-11 overall, 1-8 in SEC play. They are officially the worst team in the Southeastern Conference. And you hate that for Porter Moser, man, because if it keeps going this way, I have to imagine that.
Yeah, I think his time will be finished.
It probably will be. So, yeah, unfortunate start there for them. Not the second half turnaround in SEC play that they were maybe hoping for, like in football this year. But, yeah, rough one there for Oklahoma. Buckyball, him and Texas A&M, they get a big win against Georgia over the weekend. So now Texas A&M, man, they're 7-1 in the SEC. I know they haven't played anybody. They haven't played, but they played Georgia. That's a solid win there. So, you know, they'll get another challenge this week against Alabama. And if you win that game, I think we're going to have a lot of people maybe jumping on the Buckyball bandwagon.
And how about the Rylan Griffin return?
Against
his old team. Well, one of his old teams.
One of his old teams.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing about Texas A&M. It's the same thing in basketball, in football. Love Bucky McMillan. Love everything that he's done for the state of Alabama when he was here. It's just I hate that it's working so quickly. Why couldn't this be a slow build up?
He's a great coach, man.
He is, man. I can't knock him for it. But Texas A&M, and it's a style that nobody else is playing. It's the same identity Bucky has had everywhere he's gone.
Yep.
They're gonna press you, and they're gonna get up and down the floor on the offensive side as well too. They ain't gonna. It may be a volleyball line attempt from 3. By God, if it's there, they're going to take it. And it's frustrating because, again, for all Texas A&M grads, it's nothing personal, but it's just not my cup of tea. But, man, for them to have had the success that they had with Buzz Williams, and you felt that year after year they were just a tough, gritty team, they've changed their identity a little bit, and it's working. Like, it's working. And Texas A&M is a good basketball team. They really are. And it's the style in which Bucky has coached them to. I just wish it didn't work so fast. It's frustrating that Texas A&M is the best team in the SEC in basketball.
Statistically, yes, or based on the standings, that's certainly where they are. But yeah, they got a little.
They
bit
ain't played nobody.
Well, they haven't, but I mean, they will, and they'll have an opportunity to prove that they belong there at the top, as that is where they are right now. But that was a fun weekend of SEC hoops. Again, Quick reminder: Alabama Texas A&M is coming up here in just a matter of days. That will be your midweek matchup coming up on Wednesday, and then Auburn, they're off, no midweek game for them, as their next matchup will be on Saturday against Alabama there at home. So that will kind of cover all of our bases there at the SEC basketball front. But we'd love to hear from you. 205-834-9450. Do you have concerns, Alabama or Auburn, either way? What do you feel in UAB, right? Do you have concerns about your team? Are you happy with where they are right now, as we are getting closer and closer to March Madness and the NCAA tournament? So we want to hear from you as we roll along. Keep the conversation going right here on a Monday Morning Jocks. Welcome back into Morning Jocks. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you, as it is IBOB week, part one. It is Super Bowl week, And we are just going to have such a great time here and appreciate you joining us each and every morning right here on JOX. So obviously a lot for us to look forward to this weekend. So a lot of us for us to get into here over the next handful of days. But we would love to hear from you as always, 205-834-9450, as we have spent a lot of time this morning talking SEC hoops, and Alabama and Auburn both falling over the weekend. So Alabama, they lose 100-77 yesterday against Florida in Gainesville, just absolutely throttled by the Gators. And then Auburn, they lose a tough one, 77-69 on the road in Knoxville against Tennessee on Saturday. But UAB, they did get a win on Saturday. So the pride of the state of Alabama for the weekend. Certainly to say the least. But we do want to remind you that flu season is here and you can make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those causing virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. Go find a dealer online near you today at Trane.com. So I did mention the Super Bowl that is coming up on Sunday. So going to be a lot of excitement around that, obviously, as the Seahawks and Patriots are getting ready to face off. But yesterday was kind of a big day in the NFL in terms of coaching hires and things of that sort. So we had 2 new coaches, I guess the intent announced for 2 new coaches to be hired over the weekend. You also have a local NFL head coach that is getting back into the coordinator business. So a quick rundown, if you missed yesterday, what's going on here in the NFL. As man, I'm telling you, the NFL is so good because what's yesterday? All right, it's the Sunday before the Super Bowl. Yes, the Pro Bowl stuff. Nobody's watching that crap.
No.
So you got the Super Bowl coming up, but this is the gap week, right? Where it's like, man, there's no football. I wish there was something. And so while maybe you weren't watching it, they found a way to, again, control the news cycle because they were like, well, you know what? Let's just go and have all the big sports news of the day come from the NFL because it's Sunday. We're not playing, but we should be. So they certainly did that yesterday. So the Las Vegas Raiders, they have announced that they are going to hire Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak after the Super Bowl concludes, so they can't finalize the deal until after the game and the season finally comes to a close. But the Raiders, they find their guy. The Arizona Cardinals were also interested in Kubiak and trying to hire him, but he ultimately decided on the Raiders, which they then pivoted, and we'll get to that in a moment. But you just look at what he's done in 1 year. He's only been there for 1 year. So he was with the Saints before this. Then he came over to Seattle this year and replaced Ryan Grubb, who got let go and then came to Alabama, as we all know. But the Seahawks, they finished 3rd in points per game and 8th in yards per game this season offensively. So pretty good numbers there. Obviously, Sam Darnold had another great season, took him to a Super Bowl. So not a big surprise that he was going to be a hot commodity, but it's just, I'm sure there's plenty of jokes that are, rolling through people's heads right now, but it's just, they fired their offensive coordinator and he goes to Alabama. And I know there's some people frustrated, and then now they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's the Sam Darnold effect and Jalen Milroe.
It's just that infectious energy and the
it
in practice that I'm sure
changed the whole narrative.
Really, really changed the culture there in Seattle. So, but yeah, good for Clint Kubiak. He 1 year in Seattle now. He's going to be headed off as a head coach. And unfortunately, though, for him, is you're going to maybe the new most stacked division in the NFL with 3 playoff teams this year, and you've got Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, and Justin Herbert to go up against. But best of luck to him, and certainly a very cool opportunity. And obviously, if you're wondering, yes, he is the son of the former Texans and Broncos head coach Gary Kubiak. So kind of a cool little connection there. But and speaking of family affair, we have another family member, another brother that's now going to be a head coach in the NFL, as that would be Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. He was hired yesterday by the Arizona Cardinals, and you might go, man, that name sounds familiar. His brother is Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. So that's kind of fun there. But we were just talking about how great the Seahawks offense had become this year and why Kubiak was getting this opportunity. Well, the Rams this year, now granted, Sean McVay is kind of the LaFleur obviously is there and helps out, but it's kind of like with the Rams or with the Chiefs, right? Sorry, it's like, okay, Eric Bieniemy did a great job while he was there, and obviously everyone was waiting for him to get this opportunity. But we all knew at the end of the day, Andy Reid's really the
Right.
kind of the brains behind it. But the next in line was Eric Bieniemy. Kind of the similar situation here with McVay and LaFleur. But the Rams this year, most points per game, most total yards per game this year. So they were the number one offense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They led in the majority of offensive categories. So a much deserved opportunity for him. Even though again, it is one of those things where he's typically not the guy calling the play. It's just
Right.
he's the offensive coordinator, but you're gonna have a lot more responsibility now. And how does that translate?
And he's in Arizona too.
And he is. I mean, look, the Raiders are in a bad spot, but when you have a guy like, I'll take the Raiders job over the Cardinals. Like that just kind of tells you how bad the Cardinals job is right now. So this is the 6th straight head coach the Arizona Cardinals will have hired that doesn't have head coaching experience. I would think at some point you might pivot and try something else.
Yeah,
but
you probably guys that have been head coaches look at the Arizona situation of I don't know if I'm gonna build my career back down there.
That is a very real possibility. That is a very real possibility. But I just thought that was interesting. That's okay. That just feels like one of those things where when you come across that, because I saw where somebody had noted that in a tweet about the hire, like feels like that's kind of we're just throwing that out there, but like you can kind of connect the dots potentially if that stat is.
They say 6 times a charm.
That's what I've always heard.
Yeah, I've heard it every time.
6-leaf clover, man. I used to love looking for those as a kid.
Yeah.
Found them all the time. But nonetheless, the Cardinals have their guy. But how about this? This is really cool. So we talk all the time about, we talk a lot here about, Nick Saban's coaching tree or different coaching trees and how impressive they are. All right, so Sean McVay's been the head coach of the Rams since 2017. In that time period, he has had 4 offensive coordinators, 4 different offensive coordinators. He's about to hire his 5th. Every single one of those guys is now a head coach in the NFL right now.
Insane.
So you have both LaFleur's, Matt and Mike. So so you have the Cardinals and the Packers, Liam Cohen with the Jaguars, and Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. So think about that. Since he has been a head coach, every single offensive coordinator he's ever had is currently now a head coach alongside him in the NFL.
And for the most part, they've all had success.
Yeah, I mean, they're all
they're pretty good.
They're all doing very good. We'll see about this guy with the Cardinals. I would bet probably not going to have a lot of success there, but
gonna take some time.
You never know.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, that's just a really impressive stat. I thought so. Very cool there for Sean McVay. There, as he will now be looking for another offensive coordinator. And finally, the last piece of news is that the former Falcons head coach Raheem Morris, who I know a lot of people around here who are Falcons fans were probably not, tore up watching him be replaced. But nonetheless, he has found a new landing spot. So he is now going to return to the coordinator business. He will be the 49ers' new defensive coordinator, taking over for Robert Saleh, who is now your head coach, Damian.
Absolutely.
There in Nashville. And if you remember the last time, so before he was the head coach of the Falcons for the last couple of years, pretty good job as a defensive coordinator. He was the Rams defensive coordinator in 2023. And if you remember that year, they kind of won the Super Bowl.
They did.
So
they did.
That's a pretty good track record there. And he'll now go to the 49ers and look to do a good job there. So that's your coaching carousel.
Yeah, a lot has changed since he was the last defense coordinator. You don't have a necessary. Again, San Francisco defense, pretty good. When healthy, when 100% healthy. They lost Fred Warner early on in the season, but you're not coaching Aaron Donald on the defensive line anymore.
No. You don't have him and Jalen Ramsey. And
yeah, it looks a little different than it has been, but I do think he's walking to a pretty.
Oh, it's still a good
stable
spot. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's looking at a pretty stable organization. Like it's, hopefully it doesn't get any worse. It shouldn't.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, but it very well may, unfortunately. But that's your NFL coaching carousel roundup. So tomorrow we'll get started. We'll give you some of our early thoughts on the Super Bowl, and then as we get through the week, we'll find some fun ways to keep mixing that up and getting you ready for the big game coming up on Sunday. But a lot of you chiming in now on the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Your thoughts on a lot of topics. Man, Ryan Grubb is getting, based on this text, somebody's not very happy with him this morning, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. You chime in, 205-834-9450. We'll get to your text next here on JOX.
6:50 here on Morning Jocks. Damian and Conrad here with you for a few more moments as we get you set for McElroy and Kublik in the morning at the top of the hour. Let me tell you about my friends at Hometown Roofing and Restorations. Trust the experts for your roofing needs. With over 1,200 roofers in the Birmingham area, make sure you call someone you can trust. Hometown Roofers is family-owned, grounded in faith, and community-oriented. Their customer satisfaction focused with your needs in mind, and you can count on honest communication. The goal is to get it right the first time. If it's an insurance claim, call Hometown. They'll take the ball for you, so you don't have to worry about the red tape and the back and forth with insurance companies. Only top quality materials. Hometown is certified with two of the best national brands of shingle, and they offer a lifetime material warranties. Financing is available. Wonder if you have an agent roof or roof damage. Hometown offers free inspections. They also want me to tell you about Drip Edge. Drip Edge is a thin strip of metal installed along the edges of a roof. Its job is to take direct water away from the roof and fascia and into the gutters instead of letting water work its way back under the shingles. Now here now in 2026, for the last several years, installing Drip Edge is part of the Home Builder Code. However, if your home was built before 2010, it's likely you don't have Drip Edge. The lack of Drip Edge improves the chances that you have rotten or damaged decking around the eaves and rakes of your roofs. Give my buddy Ryan and Curtis a call at 205-984-4777. Again, or visit their website at htroofers.com. Again, the number is 205-984-4777, or visit htroofers.com. Hometown Roofing and Restorations. Do it right the first time.
Well, we have breaking news here on Morning Jocks because it is Groundhog Day. And 30 seconds ago, this is literally reported 30 seconds ago, I'm looking at it right now, Punxsutawney Phil has seen his shadow, and he is predicting 6 more weeks of winter weather.
Well,
so I hate to be the bearer of bad news on this Monday morning, but that is Phil has spoken, and that is what we're headed for. But as I told you, again, a couple days away from we're gonna get in the 60s. It'll be warmer. It'll be better.
But now it's about to change.
Well, yeah, Phil just ruined that for us. Thanks a lot, Phil.
Go ahead and throw that away. It's not gonna be in the 60s.
Yeah.
God almighty.
I know. But all right, let's go to the Courtesy GMC text line, see if that'll warm you up here before we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning, because this one is this guy's fired up this morning. This texter says, so Ryan Grubb has 2 straight years of bad offenses at 2 different teams, but DeBoer will not fire Grubb if he continues to do bad. He has an anchor on his neck.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's the off season, man. I thought we were. It's a clean slate. We're in 2026, bro.
It's tough for some people.
I see.
It's tough. It's a grieving process. This one says, if Nate Oates loses Saturday, bringing Bediako back will be the dumbest decision ever. Destroyed your chemistry and wasted the season. Most likely players transferring. Oh, I guess he's saying he thinks players will end up transferring out of the program because of the Bediako decision. He said it's quite possible come Sunday that Alabama will be 1-5 with Bediako. Now they're 1-3 right now.
Yeah, it's not looking too bright. I ain't know Bediako came in and destroyed the program like this.
You hate to see it, man. You really do. You never think it's going to come from the inside, but apparently, I guess sometimes it does. Nick from North Birmingham says, Auburn has to improve better on the offensive boards and high percentage shots, including those points in the paint. They were keys to their past 5 wins against Tennessee. If they don't win, then Selection Sunday will be less likely for Auburn. Look, I think both Alabama and Auburn are still – I mean, I don't think we're in a not making the tournament type of conversation yet, but I think it is probably not a bad idea to temper some expectations in terms of, you know, like I think personally, and I said this from the beginning of the year, I think either one of them making it to the Sweet 16, that's a good year. And I know you made it to the Final Four if you're Auburn, so, like,
right.
That's frustrating. I know Alabama, that's frustrating, but
this year's squad ain't last year's squad.
No, but I think for what you have, if you make it to the Sweet 16, either team, they should be I seriously think you should be very happy with what you're able to accomplish. Don says, good morning, guys. Both teams did struggle this weekend. Auburn just can't shoot their threes, but they also got out-rebounded. At least we didn't give up 72 points in the paint and give up 100 points. That's right, Don. You lost, but in a different way, and that's
and losing's half
I'm
the
glad
battle.
that makes you feel better. You
Right.
lost in a different way. You lost differently than Alabama did. That's good. You're different, Don. Auburn's different. They're built different. They lose different than other teams. Oh, my God. God, they lose different. I love it. I love it. Sorry.
It's all good.
They're different, man. It just got me going. All right, that'll do it for us. We're back tomorrow at 6 a.m. Mac and Cube, those guys are up next.